Hey, come see me do stand-up in Ontario, California, Las Vegas, and Davenport, Iowa. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So CNN did an article trying to get Tucker Carlson's tour canceled.
Oh.
That's what the point of this is. They're trying to censor someone that is more popular than them by a lot. This is the new game.
Yeah, because they couldn't do a tour.
This is a new game, of course. Tucker Carlson is going on tour. Ticketmaster is profiting off his hateful rhetoric. This was written by a guy named Oliver Darcy, and I know what you're saying. Who is Oliver Darcy? He's a corporate hack who gets paid to do stuff like this. So Tucker Carlson announced plans this week to crisscross the country and with a 15-city arena tour. Oh, how about you let me come on and do some stand-up on some of those? I'd love to. You're always invited on my live shows, by the way. I should maybe make the formal invite.
Yeah, I think you do. Okay,
I'm going to make a formal invite. That's what I should do. I'm sure he'd love it. So CNN's Oliver Darcy spent the week calling Ticketmaster. He was calling Ticketmaster and Live Nation, as well as multiple event venues, demanding to know why they would allow Tucker Carlson to speak. Really? You know who else they platform? Ticketmaster and Live Nation? People like Hillary Clinton, who wrecked Libya and turned it into a failed state, used depleted uranium. Oh, George Bush, who used depleted uranium in Iraq, killed 1 million people. They also sell tickets for those things. You think I'm kidding? There it is, StubHub. Here it is, Ticketmaster, the Clintons. You know, Bill Clinton, his Secretary of State, bragged they killed 500,000 Iraqi children. I don't think Tucker Carlson's ever killed anyone. Oh, also Hillary Clinton on board for the Iraq War, which killed 1 million people. And then she went on to do the Libya and laughed about it. But Oliver Darcy, the CNN doesn't care about those people touring. It's just Tucker Carlson. Why? Because he's more popular than them. And he has a counter narrative to the establishment. So I'll read you the article. You won't believe how crazy this article is. But here's what Glenn Greenwald says. He says, this is the tactic that has made U.S. corporate media the leading agitators for censorship while pretending they're not. They call up big tech companies and others to say, hey, we're going to report on how you're platforming fascists, which they mean conservatives, to coerce them to ban them. You know, the definition of fascism includes suppression of the opposition and oppressive control. But apparently not when CNN does it. Brianna Joy Gray, notorious anti-Semite, Brianna Joy Gray. If you spell this tweet backwards, it reads kill Whitey. She says, if your instinct is to not care about, if your instinct is to not care because you don't like Tucker's politics, reconsider. This strategy is clearly being used across the board. They've targeted me at Patreon, and also remember what the TikTok ban is all about. The TikTok ban is all about people telling the truth about what's happening in Israel, Palestine. So these people who call themselves left, they're not. The people, if you're for censorship, you're not a lefty. You're an authoritarian and a fascist. They're trying to get Tucker Carlson's tour canceled. So here's I'll read you the article. Ticketmaster is linking arms with right-wing extremists. Tucker Carlson is anti-war. That's considered extreme. Boosting their ability to reach mainstream audiences. Tucker Carlson has a mainstream audience. You know who does it? CNN. Nobody watches CNN. And profiting off their dangerous and hateful rhetoric ahead of the November election. You know who has dangerous and hateful rhetoric? CNN. CNN has been for every war in my lifetime. That's dangerous. That's gets people. They got 300,000 or 400,000 people in Ukraine slaughtered. They helped do that. Who did? CNN, not Tucker Carlson. The ticketing sales giant is the distributor of the forthcoming live speaking tour from Tucker Carlson, who announced plans this week to crisscross the country with a 15-city arena tour, inviting fellow conspiracy theorists such as Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene to join him along the way. The biggest conspiracy of my life was Russiagate. CNN screamed that at the top of their lungs. They're the biggest conspiracy theorists there are. They also said that Assad gassed his own people. Another conspiracy theory. They also said that they also lied to you about the Ukraine war, that it was unprovoked. They also lied to you about the Iraq war. They also lied to you about the Libyan war. They also lied to you about the Afghanistan war for 20 years. You know who didn't do that? All those people. On the Ticketmaster website, Carlson is referred to as a leading voice in American politics and an alternative to corporate media dedicated to telling the truth about the things that matter, clearly and without fear. While it is hard to imagine that Ticketmaster conjured this glowing description of Carlson itself, it is remarkable the company would approve it and promote it on its site. Of course they didn't write that. I think that looks like Patton Oswalt. I'm kidding. That is because there is not a morsel of truth to how Ticketmaster is presenting Carlson to its customers. Really? Carlson, a former mainstream conservative who over the course of Donald Trump's presidency traveled to the fringes of American politics, has for years promoted dangerous disinformation and damaging conspiracy theories. Again, no, who does that is CNN. The people who do that is CNN. Carlson lied about the COVID-19 vaccines. No, he didn't. He told the truth about them. You know who lied about them? You, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer, and every other jagoff who has a microphone on CNN. You're the ones who lied about it. You lied about that. You lied about ivermectin. You lied about the virus, where it came from, who funded it. You lied about natural immunity. You lied about herd immunity. You lied about transmission, contraction. You lied about masks. There wasn't a thing you didn't lie about at CNN. You know who didn't lie about it? Tucker Carlson. Discouraging his fans from receiving the life-saving shots. Well, a lot of doctors and scientists, the leading doctors in their field, are now calling for those things to be pulled. But of course, the FDA and the CDC say they're fantastic. And right now, if you're following along, you will be on your 10th booster. So CDC guidance is go get your 10th booster. He sowed doubt about the legitimacy of the 2020 election. So again, if you sow doubt about the 2020 election, you're a bad person. But if you sow doubt about the 2016 election, you're a good American. If you say Russia stole our election in 2016 and that Donald Trump was illegitimate, that makes you a good person. Suggesting that it was rigged by sinister forces against Trump. Anybody who has confidence in our elections is a chump or works for CNN or both. And he reprehensibly peddled the false notion that the January 6th insurrection was a so-called false flag operation staged by the deep state. It was. We've showed you that millions of times. Why is it that the head of the FBI, when asked point blank by a congressman at a hearing in Congress, did you have FBI assets dressed up as MAGA supporters inside the Capitol before it was breached? I can't answer that. The answer should be no. But there is still a tiny sliver of Americans who believe this stuff, and even tiny sliver of people who actually read this. I'm reading it because it makes good fodder to show you how crazy and how fascistic CNN actually is. They want to shut down anybody who's a competitor to them and has a different political outlook. In addition to those corrosive lies, Carlson has been one of the top promoters of the Great Replacement Theory. You know who was the top promoter of the Great Replacement Theory? The Democratic Party. For a decade, I heard Democrats say demographics are destiny, meaning that the more Hispanics we get into Texas, the sooner it will turn blue, because demographics are destiny. Well, now Hispanics aren't voting for Joe Biden. But they're the ones who pushed the Great Replacement Theory. First, the idea favored by white supremacists that falsely accused the Democratic Party and wealthy Jewish figures such as George Soros of importing third world migrants into the U.S. to shift the country's demographics to win elections. Well, I know for sure that's happening. I know for sure that Joe Biden flew in a couple 100,000 illegal immigrants into our country. And the border's wide open. And James Carville, former Clinton advisor, admits that that's a goofy policy. You have people like Dennis Kucinich saying we have to seal the border, and Joe Biden not doing it. Let me just say that the Great Replacement Theory, the only replacement theory that CNN is actually concerned about is them being replaced by independent media. Because they are. They have been. They've been replaced by independent media. Joe Rogan gets somewhere around 14 million views per show, which is probably more views than CNN gets in a week. And they're on 24 hours a day. I mean, so that's bad if you do it, promote if Ticketmaster hosts an event that Great Replacement Theory, but the Ticketmaster has promoted events that with Joe Biden, the guy most responsible for our modern day prison system, white supremacist Joe Biden, who lied about being at civil rights, being a civil rights activist, still does it, even though he's been corrected and caught many times. Ultimately, Carlson grew to be too much of a problem, even for Fox News. And you know why he became too much of a problem for Fox News? Because he told the truth about the Ukraine war, the Syrian war, and then he started to tell the truth about Big Pharma and COVID, and that was the final straw. Again, you don't get fired for lying. You get fired for telling the truth. Just like Julian Assange is in prison, not for lying. He's in prison for telling the truth about the war machine. And Rupert Murdoch is evidently Fox News has higher standards for whom they will do business with than Ticketmaster. They don't. A remarkable low bar for the events. Fox News won't do business with people who are willing to tell the truth. Asked for comment this week, representatives for Live Nation's subsidiary chose not to respond. In fairness to the company's public relations division, it is difficult to see how they can defend such conduct. How can any decent person not only participate in enabling Carson's point? So this is why no one watches CNN. This is why no one listens to their garbage. This is all they have. CNN also posed questions to the venues hosting Carlson. They're trying to get him canceled, which include they did at the Honda Center, T-Mobile Center, Delta Center, Dickies Arena, Intrust Bank Arena, and others. Spokespeople representing each respective venue did not provide a comment. Companies with basic ethics should, of course, reject doing business with dishonest figures who profit by dumping toxic waste into the country's information environment. You got to be kidding me. As opposed to literally dumping toxic waste, such as war criminal George W. Bush, who poisoned Iraq with depleted uranium weapons, and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, who used depleted uranium to poison the water supply in Libya. But doing so puts them at risk of being targeted by those very same people who, like Trump, have tremendous sway over the vast majority of Republicans and a lightning rod for painful boycotts. Ticketmaster hosted events by... Anyway. But while the politics of 2024 makes for a thorny business environment for companies to navigate from an ethics perspective, the questions that lie before them come with clear and obvious answers. Those uncomfortable decisions risk catapulting them squarely into the center of the information wars, where grifters like Carlson thrive. The biggest grifters were Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, Anderson Cooper, and everybody who works at CNN. And, of course, Rachel Maddow, who did the most unhinged conspiracy theory at the top of her lungs for now 7 years running, Russiagate. And, again, you don't get fired for lying or spewing conspiracy theories. Rachel Maddow was such a bad conspiracy. She did so much conspiracy. Even the Washington Post and New York Times spanked her for it, for her crazy Russia conspiracy theories. Glenn Greenwald says, presumably the reason Ticketmaster is willing to sell tickets to Tucker Carlson's show is because he's arguably the single most popular and influential voice in media and journalism in the United States, while Oliver Darcy, the guy who wrote this article, is not, and thus has no claim to dictate who can be heard. So Tucker Carlson's podcast, #1 on Spotify. Look at that. The New York Times second. Look at that. Candace Owen, 4th. Look at that. So that's the news division. I wonder where ours is ours in the news division? I think it, or is it in the what's that? I think it's in the performing arts category, because we're always in the top 10 there. And just a reminder, no problem. Warmonger killed millions of people. Pro-Iraq war, Hillary Clinton used depleted uranium-tipped bombs to poison the water in Libya. Wasn't a war she hasn't been for in my lifetime. Bill Clinton bombed Kosovo, depleted uranium. They bragged about killing 500,000 Iraqi children. They bragged about it. And of course, I don't have to tell you about this guy. But CNN doesn't have any problem with those people being platformed. Isn't that amazing?
Nobody was showing up to their shows.
No one showed up to the Clinton shows, by the way. They had to bring in these huge curtains so nobody... Why would you? I got to let Tucker know I want to open for him. Hey, come see me do stand-up on tour in Ontario, California, Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, a special video show with stand-up, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.